Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm going to talk to you about a book I just finished up reading. It's called The Great Delusion: Liberal Dreams and International Realities by John B. Mearsheimer. So this guy's a renowned expert or academic, or I don't know what the hell you call these people anymore, but he's one of these international relations types, foreign affairs types. So he's what they call a realist. Uh, So this book is talking about basically how the liberal hegemony attempts by uh, the United States has been a complete and utter disaster since the end of the Cold War. So in the first part of the book, he's talking about what liberalism is, and he's not talking about the liberals we have here in the U.S., the libtards. He's talking about a larger concept of liberalism, like classical liberals, like the old-fashioned definition of what liberalism means. So basically, the liberalism that believes in uh, it has a basis. It's all about human rights, inalienable human rights. The liberals believe these are universal rights held by everybody throughout the world. And this is the foundation basically of Western governments, right? So uh, most of the Western folks buy into this idea of human rights, that they're universal and God given. But I don't think I buy that so much, just it's a nice idea and a nice way to found your government and base your government on that, like we do here in the U.S. But to think that these are uh, rights that exist for all humans, well, that's more of a concept than a reality, I think, right? So, just look at other parts of the world. These rights aren't held as basic in most of the world. Other cultures don't believe these rights exist. They don't in the Muslim world. Most of Asia and Africa, they don't have these rights, so trying to go around the world and implement governments based on these rights, liberal democracies. Oh, let's spread it everywhere. These people in other uh, countries from different cultures, they don't have the fucking concept, and they have a culture that is completely different to ours, and they don't want Western civilization crammed down their throats. So Mearsheimer discusses what happened after the Cold War, with the U.S. being the lone superpower, the unipolar moment. You get the Clinton, Bush, and Obama administrations attempting to spread this hegemony of liberal democracy, and trying to spread that throughout the world through various means. He says the problem with that is you end up doing it, you violate your own principles, and you end up doing it at the point of a spear, so to speak, and the pain and suffering gets spread around the globe. So he talks about, as a result of uh, the liberals trying to spread the liberal Democrat hegemony around the world, we got wars that were complete and utter failures in Afghanistan and Iraq. We got NATO that pushed further and further eastward, along with the European Union spread. And, something that I kind of knew some about, but I didn't know the details, and he gets into it. But he said all along, when the European Union was expanding, and NATO was increasing its membership and moving further east, uh, Russia and Putin bitched and complained the whole time, all along the way. And Putin said, basically, if you move into Ukraine and try to admit them as a NATO member, that he's gonna fuck shit up in Ukraine, and that's exactly what he's doing, because he didn't want them to become a NATO member. You know, some people are like, oh, and admit it, I'm even having a video. I don't know if it's one that I took down, but I was saying, you know, countries have the right to join whatever alliances they have. So Putin didn't have the right to go into Ukraine, and I don't think he did. But you know, let's look at instead of what people should and shouldn't be doing, let's look at what they're actually doing. And Putin was saying that, you know, don't do it, don't do it. I'm gonna fuck shit up, and then we go ahead and do it, and we act like we're all fucking discombobulated when he does it. You know, the United States didn't take too kindly to the Soviet Union putting missiles in Cuba. You know, what if China has this starts an alliance and starts adding more and more countries to it, and they decide they want to add Canada and Mexico to this security alliance? The U.S. would be pissed off, and the U.S. would do something about it. So this whole expansion, you know, of liberal hegemony, not only did it end up in disastrous shit going on in the Middle East and over in Eastern Europe, but the theory with how to treat China was to pump a shit ton of money in there, increase relations with them, intertwine their economy into ours, and when China becomes more economically prosperous, they're going to liberalize and they're going to turn into a a place where democracy and human rights flourish. Well, that was an utter failure, you know. And so I don't know how much Monday morning quarterbacking Mearsheimer does. You could go up on YouTube. He's all over the place with videos going back, you know, decades where he's talking about his views on stuff. And he's been talking about the Ukraine situation well before the Russians built up their military along the Ukraine borders and went in there. He was against the Iraq war. I think he might have even been against the Afghan war, if I'm recalling accurately. You know, the Iraq war, I'm going to set that one aside. I'm going to talk about the Afghan war. You know, I wasn't against that, and I never would be against it. I was against shit. I would even say this about the Iraq war, even though I said I was going to set that aside. It ain't the fact that we went to war in these places. It's the fact of how we conducted the war. We should have conducted the war the way we conducted World War II. We just fucked shit up, and we didn't worry about civilian casualties and, you know, enemies like, especially those in the Middle East. They only understand power and power brutally displayed. You know, we should have went into Afghanistan, not worried about civilian casualties. They were already living a freaking 7th century lifestyle by and large. So if we bombed them back to the 2nd century, it doesn't really matter. You know, I mean, were they worried about they being the government of that country, which was the Taliban, who was, you know, all up in Al Qaeda's ass and vice versa? You know, some people say they're one and the same. There's a lot of overlap there. Break out your Venn diagram, like Camel Toe says. She loves them. You know, the 3 circles. Fucking bitch. Doesn't have to be 3 circles. It could be 2. She's an idiot. Anyways, you know, war, in my opinion, when you go to war, you need to do all out total war, destroy the enemy, and not worry about upsetting people, because I think a lot of the world is not a big fan of the U.S. And like I always say, they hate us because they ain't us. You know, these fucking loudmouth socialist Euros can go fuck off, in my opinion. But anyways, I'd say if you want to get a more detailed explanation of all these things, check out Mearsheimer's book and take a close look at his take on the Ukraine, and you might reinforce your stance, or at least if you're all pro Ukraine and gung ho, you might get a perspective that you haven't seen before. Although I'm kind of, these days there's a lot of people that don't want another perspective. They just want their echo chamber. But anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks everyone. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on next one.